Ladies, let's talk about it. Have you ever asked yourself, why is it always the men I don't want who approach me? It's like clockwork wherever you go, whether it's the grocery store, the gym, or just walking down the street. The wrong ones always seem to have the confidence to shoot their shot. Meanwhile, the men you actually find attractive, silent. Now, why is that? Undesirable men tend to approach women more frequently because they have little to no fear of rejection. Their mindset is simple. They see a woman they're interested in, they shoot their shot, and if it doesn't work out, they move on to the next. They don't take rejection personally because in many cases they've experienced it enough times to become desensitized to it. For them, the approach is a numbers game. The more women they talk to, the higher their chances of eventually getting a favorable response. This level of persistence gives them a boldness that makes them stand out, even if their approach is unwelcome or ineffective. On the other hand, the men that women actually desire tend to be more calculated in their approach. They are often more self-aware and more cautious about how they engage with women. Unlike the undesirable men who operate with a mindset of abundance, desirable men don't take rejection as lightly. They are more likely to internalize it, seeing it as a reflection of their value or attractiveness. Because of this, they tend to approach only when they feel confident in the outcome. If they sense any uncertainty, whether real or imagined, they are more likely to talk themselves out of making a move. Desirable men also have more to lose in social situations. They are often respected in their social circles, hold themselves to a certain standard, and don't want to risk embarrassment. The fear of being seen as just another guy trying to hit on women can prevent them from stepping forward. Instead of approaching, they may wait for clear signals, preferring to engage only when they believe the woman is receptive. In the meantime, the undesirable men, with nothing holding them back, continue to dominate the scene. Confidence often plays a bigger role in approach behavior than actual quality, which is why undesirable men tend to initiate more interaction. Many women assume that the men who approach them the most are doing so because they are the best options available, but in reality, it's often the ones with the least hesitation who step forward first. Confidence can make an average man seem more appealing than he actually is, at least initially, because confidence is naturally attractive. A man who approaches without fear appears sure of himself, and that energy can be mistaken for high value. On the other hand, high-quality, desirable men may lack the same boldness in these settings, not because they aren't confident in themselves, but because they weigh the risk of approaching more carefully. They might wonder if it's the right time, if the woman is open to being approached, or if they will come across as just another guy trying to get her attention. This internal debate can cause hesitation. And in that hesitation, the men with nothing to lose make their move first. Confidence is not always an indicator of compatibility, character, or value. Some men have mastered the art of approaching women purely through repetition and persistence, not because they have anything substantial to offer. This is why some women find themselves repeatedly approached by men who lack depth, emotional intelligence, or relationship potential. The ability to walk up to a woman and start a conversation does not necessarily mean that the man is a great match for her. It only means he is willing to take the risk. The reality is that many high-quality men do not rely on constant approaches to meet women, and their caution is often mistaken for a lack of interest. Desirable men often overthink their approach because they are more concerned about how they are perceived. They don't want to come off as intrusive, aggressive, or disrespectful, especially in a world where women frequently deal with unwanted advances. Instead of simply walking up and introducing themselves, they analyze the situation, looking for the perfect moment or the right signal. If they don't feel a clear invitation to engage, they may decide it's better to stay silent rather than risk making a woman uncomfortable. This hesitation can create a cycle where desirable men remain on the sidelines while less considerate men dominate the interaction. The fear of being seen as just another guy trying to get a woman's attention keeps many good men from making a move. They don't want to invade her space or be labeled as creepy, so they err on the side of caution, often to the point of inaction. Meanwhile, the men who don't overthink are already making their move, regardless of whether their approach is welcome or not. Many men who are truly confident in themselves don't feel the need to prove it through frequent approaches. They prefer mutual interest to be clear before taking action. While they might be interested in a woman, they will hold back if they sense any possibility of rejection, preferring to avoid embarrassment or an awkward encounter. This is why a woman may find that the men she's attracted to don't pursue her in the way she expects. Their hesitation is not always a lack of interest, but rather a reflection of their awareness of social dynamics. Without an obvious green light, they may assume she's not interested and allow someone else to take the lead. Women have been conditioned to expect men to pursue them, which can sometimes create a passive approach to dating and attraction. From an early age, many women are taught that a man who truly wants them will make the first move, be persistent, and prove his interest. While this may be true in some cases, it doesn't account for the reality that many high-quality men are more reserved in their approach. They may be interested, but they are also looking for signs that their interest is reciprocated before making a move. When a woman assumes that only the men who aggressively pursue her are worth her attention, she unknowingly limits her options. She may overlook the men who are genuinely interested but hesitant because they don't want to be lumped in with the ones who approach every woman they see. Desirable men often operate differently. They look for engagement, signals, or an open invitation to initiate conversation. If a woman never signals interest, these men may assume she's not available or not interested. Meanwhile, the men who have no problem approaching repeatedly are the ones who aren't waiting for a signal at all. They don't need confirmation that a woman is open to talking because they are operating under the mindset that the more they try, the better their chances. This is why women frequently feel like they are only attracting the wrong men while the right ones seem to be uninterested. It's not that the desirable men don't notice or appreciate them. It's that without some level of encouragement, they aren't always going to take the risk. A passive approach to attraction can lead to frustration when the only men stepping forward are the ones who aren't truly aligned with what a woman wants. Body language and openness play a major role in who approaches a woman. Many times, a woman may not realize that her nonverbal cues are signaling disinterest, even when she might be open to meeting someone. Eye contact, a genuine smile, and a welcoming presence can make a significant difference in how a man perceives his chances of a successful interaction. Desirable men in particular are more likely to be cautious about approaching because they don't want to be disrespectful or make a woman uncomfortable. If they sense hesitation, avoidance, or a lack of engagement, they are more likely to assume she's not interested and move on without making an attempt. A woman who is always preoccupied, whether looking down at her phone, avoiding eye contact, or keeping her body language closed off can unintentionally send signals that discourage approaches from men who would otherwise be interested. While this might not stop the persistent, undesirable men from trying anyway, it will often deter the men who are more respectful of a woman's space. Many high-quality men rely on subtle cues to gauge interest before they take action, and when those cues are absent, they may decide it's better to not approach at all. A woman's environment also plays a role in how she is perceived. If she is always surrounded by a group of friends or in settings where an approach feels intimidating, the right men might hesitate to engage. Creating opportunities for interaction, such as standing alone briefly or making friendly eye contact can shift the dynamic. Many desirable men are simply looking for some level of reassurance before making a move, and when they don't get it, they are more likely to hold back. Meanwhile, the men who don't care about signals will continue approaching regardless. Small actions like eye contact and a smile can completely change the type of men who approach a woman. Many high-quality men are not interested in playing a guessing game when it comes to attraction. They prefer to approach when they sense mutual interest rather than risk rejection or make a woman feel uncomfortable. Something as simple as a few seconds of direct eye contact can be the confirmation. A man needs to feel confident enough to start a conversation. Without these small signals, he may assume she is not interested or that she does not want to be approached. A genuine smile is another powerful tool. It creates warmth and openness, which makes a man feel more comfortable initiating a conversation. Many women don't realize how often their neutral or serious facial expressions can make them seem unapproachable. While it may not be intentional, it can create an invisible barrier that only the most persistent men will ignore. Unfortunately, those persistent men are often the ones who approach every woman they see, regardless of whether she seems interested or not. Body language also plays a major role. If a woman stands with her arms crossed, avoids eye contact, or looks distracted, a high-value man may decide it's not worth the risk to approach her. Meanwhile, a woman who carries herself with confidence, makes eye contact, and is engaged with her surroundings sends a message that she is approachable. These small shifts can make a big difference in who decides to take the first step. Many men are not looking for an obvious invitation, just a subtle sign that they won't be immediately shut down. When a woman is aware of these cues, she has more control over attracting the type of men she actually wants. The truth is, undesirable men approach more because they aren't afraid. They are persistent. They don't overthink. Meanwhile, the men you actually want may be hesitant, cautious, or simply unaware that you're interested. So instead of asking why the wrong men always come to you, start asking what you can do to attract and invite the right ones in. Because trust me, the man you want might just be waiting for a sign from you.